Good morning, kids. I have received feedback from the students that they are feeling difficulty in preparing the PowerPoint presentations. You know that you have to present your findings of your practicum and also your CSAR every semester to your course teacher. So I have created this video so that you will get to know how to make a simple and effective PowerPoint presentation. In this video, I will show you a sample presentation which I have prepared, and then I will show you how to do a particular practicum presentation. So let me start with the basic slides which you are supposed to keep in your practicum, and then we'll start how to make a presentation on our own. So this is your slide number 1, where you are supposed to write your title of the practicum project, and also here you are supposed to mention your name, your institution, and also department. Along with that, you can mention your guide details or supervisor details here. This we call it as a title slide. In the next slide, we will be mentioning the objectives of our projects. So in this slide, you have to introduce your project, briefly give introduction about your project, and list out the objectives of your project. You can find them in the practicum contents which I have already given to you. And you also add 1 or 2 lines of why your particular practicum is relevant to the course in which you are doing it. Let us suppose you are doing a practicum on smart meter, maybe smart energy meter, and it is related to your course of basic electrical engineering. You should relate, because smart energy meter is a project developed based on the principles of your Ohm's law, your KCL, KVL, or based upon the components which you have learned in the course of BEE and is related to electrical engineering. So like that, you make up your lines and sentences and you include them. And in the next slide, slide number 3, you write down what is the background and context. You can skip this particular slide if you want, but I think it is better if you include this slide and write down what is the actual problem which you are doing. In the previous slide, if you see in slide number 2, you have given you what you are going to present and also the objective of your project. Let us suppose if my objective is to design a smart energy meter or to design a particular circuit, you will mention here in the objective design of a project or design of a circuit and how it is relevant to your course of BEE, because I have learned these components in BEE and I'm using them, and based upon that I am designing them. And after that, here you will be describing the problem and also why it is relevant and why it is significant. Let us suppose if I am designing, let us suppose if I am an electronics student, or if I am, let us suppose if I am an English student, and if I have done my practicum on enhancing comprehensions, enhancing communication skills. So the significance of the topic will be communication skills are required for every graduate for attaining success in his life, both professional and also personal life, so that he can express his feelings freely. So that is the significance of that particular his practicum. Whereas for let us suppose if he is doing a project on a simulation project on mathematics, let us suppose he is solving some differential equations. So what is the significance of that particular solving of differential equations? He might use that particular differential equations for any of his field or any of his future courses or any of his future endeavors, right? So like that, he is supposed to mention what the significance is. And after that, since he is doing in that particular course, this third point, the key theories which he has involved. Because practicum for doing the practicum, he might have used some basic theories, right? Some basic theories which he has learned in that particular course. So try to mention what all the theories which you are using in completion of your practicum. And next, in slide number 4, you directly jump into your practical topic. I mention what are the steps which you have followed in completion of your practicum, and also what specific tools or techniques or equipment, if it is a physical project, if it is a physical practicum, if you are developing a physical circuit, then you can mention what are the tools and techniques and what are the equipment which you are using. If I am using a solar panel and designing a meter or so, what components which I have bought, that I'll be listing them. If I am doing a simulation project, I'll be mentioning what is a platform which I have chosen and what is a version which I am choosing, and what are the computer requirements which I have chosen for doing that practice. So like that, you are supposed to mention that. And next, here you keep a picture of the block diagram if you do have one, because a picture always conveys more information to the reader, right? So you keep a block diagram of your project, a sequential flow of your project mentioned in a block diagram. So each block represents an activity, right? Or it may represent a component if it is a physical. So activity flow or block diagram, whichever is suitable for you, you keep that picture here. And also try to label the parts or try to label the blocks which you are using. Okay, that will give us more detailed information to the person who is watching your presentation. This is your 5th slide. And 6th slide, effort is a practical setup or simulation. You write 3 or 4 points, because here in slide number 5 you have given the picture, and slide number 4 you have mentioned the components, and based on the components this is your picture, right? And now you mention the 4 or 5 steps about the working of your practical setup or simulation, because this only gives you a picture, right? So the detailed thing you mention only 3 or 4 steps here. Okay, the next, this is most important. This is a key thing for your practicum, because the teacher, let us suppose if I'm teacher, I just want to know what the challenges which you have encountered in completion of this practicum. So you list what are the activities which you have undertaken. Like let us suppose my kids are doing a practicum on basic electrical engineering, right? What are the activities which they have undertaken? First of all, they have listed out the components, they have gone to a shop, they have purchased them, they have joined them, they have used different techniques, soldering, etc., etc., and then they have developed the circuit, and then they have already prepared the simulation model also, and they have compared the results. So these are the activities, stepwise activities they have undertaken. Some people, they have done only simulation. So first of all, what they have done is nothing but they have chosen a platform, they have developed the block diagram, so they have developed the simulation model, they have run it, and then they have taken the results, and then they have analyzed the results. So these are the list of activities which you might have taken. Any other activities, if you have gone to field work also, then you can list that activities, because some activities they require field work also. You mentioned that you have gone there, you have taken the information, you have conducted a survey, etc. All the activities which you have undertaken. And in this process, this concept of the challenges encountered and how you have addressed them, this will make the presentation more interesting. Because this is done by you, so you have to mention what are the challenges which you have encountered. Right. This may give you more points, because the more challenges you faced and you have effectively addressed that, it gives a good sense to the person who is listening it. And next, Slide number 8. You mention the results of your, because you have done your simulation, you have completed it, you have listed out the components, and you have explained me. And then, what are the results which you have obtained? The outcomes, what we call as the results. What are the key findings which you do have? In this slide, you mention the key findings. Use some tables, use some graphs, use their images. It will be pleasing if I watch graphs, tables, and images. Okay, and the next slide. From these images, can you find any patterns? Because the future is all about data science, right? You should analyze what is the data which is being available with you. Now you have conducted the experiment, you have done the simulation, now you have got some results, you have tabulated them, you have mentioned here. And next comes, what are the trends? What are the patterns which you have observed then? That you should mention here in the analysis. It's not that you tabulate your results. It's a thing which you analyze the patterns which you observe. You interpret the results. What do you understand from the results? This is the most important thing. A scientist is there, he performs some experiments, he finds out that some drug, fine. He finds out some medicine, right? And he is to mention where it is to be used, how it is to be used, when it is to be used. That makes sense for the user, right? If he has developed a drug, who wants it? He should mention clearly what can be done with that and what he has found out. Not developing the drug. After developing the drug, he should clearly tell us what the drug is for. Isn't it? In here terms, the drug is nothing but your medicine. Don't take it in a wrong way, okay? So, in this analysis and discussion section, you should clearly mention, okay, this is the thing. What you have observed. This is the interpretation of the results, okay? And next, this is the important thing. You should mention what are the skills which are improved, what are the new skills which you have learned, and how they are reflecting on your self-growth. And also, the most last thing which I have mentioned here, you provide suggestions for improvement in practicum. Because it to be repeated for the next year students, right? You give us suggestions that, sir, this is the difficulty. We don't have any challenges here. So you next time, you increase the complexity of the project. So you should give us suggestions, okay? And next, finally, after giving suggestions, you can include that suggestions here also. And finally, what you have understood about the practicum and what are the final outcomes. And finally, your future recommendations. And finally, don't forget to thank whoever has contributed for your project. Maybe your seniors, maybe your friends, maybe some outsiders, maybe some personalities, right? Senior personalities, your teachers, your counselors. Everybody might have helped you, right? And also don't forget to thank the audience who is listening to you. Okay, so with this, you can close your presentation. Understood. Now in the next video, I'll show you how to prepare this PPT. Okay, I'll take a sample PPT and I'll prepare that one. Okay, thank you.